yesterday.
Brutal.
Yeah, but so that's why I have,
Wizard of
so-
Oz.
yeah. But you know something, I'm gonna tell you something strange. I live in Brighton Beach and I didn't find it that windy.
Oh,
Not there.
yes.
On Brighton First Road.
You're
I
right,
have to
there's a couple
disagree.
gusts.
That's
When
what
you're
I
not
said.
Kansas
Oh,
anymore,
on the avenue, yeah,
was gonna wind
because you have the
up-
buildings, but on our block, it was
I'm-
very windy.
I'm talking about the
The avenue,
avenue.
yeah, the avenue.
No, so we canceled the game, so I can't give him, I don't wanna wait a week.
Okay, all right, so, we're gonna start the meeting, but before we begin, I just want to let everyone know that this is being recorded and it can be for at a later date if it's needed. Okay, so, you can do it.
Okay, first of all, welcome everyone. I know you haven't seen me in a while, but I am at least back for this meeting. So it's good to see, well, whatever people are over there. All right, I guess, we'll start with the,
Oh, your name, they don't know who.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm Susan Flashenberg. This is Jeff Sarnoff, Fran
Schwartz.
Schwartz,
Larry.
Larry, right?
AJ, yep.
We have Dennis.
Dennis Vidaris,
And James Cruikshank, the manager of Coney Island at Parks.
Yeah, and Eddie Mark from Community Board of James, okay?
all right, tonight there's going to be a presentation on the Let's Green New York City program in the community. And it's a presentation by the Parks Department.
Jeff, I wanna take one. I just want one.
Oh,
Thank you.
Actually, you don't sit it.
Thanks.
Your work?
Yeah.
Okay.
you just gotta speak loud, that's all.
So we'll start talking about the new program here and then why did they have this new program? Why did they call it Green NYC? It's because during COVID-19, our parks were community hubs for New Yorkers. Post-pandemic, the U.S. Surgeon General declared an endemic of loneliness and a lack of connection in the U.S., citing volunteer efforts as a cure. Coupled with climate change and climate anxiety, New York City Parks believes connecting New Yorkers to their local green open spaces will help them feel more positively about the city's bright green future and improve public health. So what is Parks doing to further this effort? We're improving tracking. We're engaging in a record number of volunteers by the end of 2024. Better track our volunteers and their cumulative impacts. Try to expanding equity, creating a new website to better match groups and individuals to diverse volunteering opportunities. We have the listing for the website here. Build volunteer groups directly and amplify our partner groups of all levels from grassroots up. Enhanced engagement, so celebrating our existing volunteers, attracting new volunteers to volunteer in our parks and using new resources. So why volunteer with NYC Parks? Volunteering is a long-standing pillar of New York's parks mission. Being in nature boosts the mental and physical health. Volunteering with the group can fight loneliness and foster new connections. Parks offers hundreds of volunteers opportunities all over the city with diverse groups from beaches to playgrounds to gardens to trails. There's something for everyone. So at this new website, you will find filterable volunteer opportunities. So you can like sort by different things that you want to do to find the groups. Different focuses, by ethnic groups, culture, forest, what kind of work you actually want to do, gardening, horticulture, forest restoration, historic preservation, all these different things, urban agriculture. And then you can, it'll help you, give you focus as to those groups that will help you with that effort. But also showcasing, the new website also showcasing diverse volunteer groups. There's directories in there, of course, and you can, like I was saying before, you can sort by the different efforts or ethnic groups that you want to be in there with. Some of our existing ones we have are ready to come back every year. New York Roadrunners, these big groups of corporate groups that come, Billion Oyster Project, Shape Up NYC, City Parks Foundation, of course, in partnership with folks. So to get involved, you visit the volunteer website, you sign up for a volunteer event that matches your interests. Encourage volunteer groups to join the Let's Green NYC group directory and help grow their volunteer base. Tell your local civic and community groups about Let's Green New York City and partner with us to host your own volunteer event in your favorite park. So that is the gist of it, and we have this is the thing here, and if anybody gets on there and they have any questions, you can email me and I can try to sort it out.
What does that say?
Eddie, can you put it up on the screen?
It's NYC, basically it's NYC.gov.
Oh, park
Backside, park.
volunteer, okay.
Wait, I have a couple of,
Can you make me a copy of
Yeah,
that? So I can use it?
Yes.
well, here, I got, actually, I'll put it.
Oh, just got it coming. Sorry, guys.
This has it on the bottom, it's a little hard to see, but see, it's got it on the bottom. You want a couple?
That's Eddie.
Okay.
I'll be fine, Eddie.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we'll put it in our newsletter.
That's all.
Thank you.
Maybe you need groups now for all these street ends, they're all fixed up and ready to be allowed. People are leaving garbage, right? Am I right?
Tons of garbage.
There's a lot more people in there.
Well, but, you know, we clean it up, you know.
They have something like this in Marine Park. They have something like,
Stay strong.
Oh, my gosh.
they have something like this in Marine Park.
Yeah, well, that's such a huge area.
Marine
that
Park,
you're doing.
Marine Park Alliance, yeah, Maria.
I mean, as James emphasized it well, it's taking the data and the information that we already know about from over the years that we work with volunteers and giving the public an opportunity through our website to find those opportunities of whatever they want to engage, whether it's public safety, volunteerism, and, you know, and right now, when you go to our site, it's not just looking at a map, you can break it down by borough. There are examples like for the Billion Oyster Project in Kaiser Park. That is an ongoing project. We just issued a permit for this season. And the groups will be out there regularly to help us clean that cove and within the area where the oysters are located.
Okay, I got a question.
Yeah.
I saw one of the categories was composting,
Yes.
okay?
Oh my God, my butt.
Okay.
You're on speaker.
There's an organization, I was on a
Jennifer,
Zoom,
mute.
I was on a Zoom the
Oh.
other week, compost
I get it.
What do you got left?
for,
Is that with sanitation or for?
Compost Power New York City, NYC.org.
Oh, okay.
His name is Domingo Morales. I don't know if you know him.
No, I don't.
Okay, but he does a terrific program about composting.
Mhm.
But I don't know, if you take Levy Park, can you set up a composting station there?
Well, you can't
Because it's
have,
Park's property,
Well,
because
you
he's
can-
doing it at night, you know, he's doing it at several nights.
where we have volunteer groups that do composting throughout the borough, they don't have like a big stockpile. They actually have a box where that they monitor, they maintain, they keep it rotated to make sure that it's doing what it's doing. You know, and then of course they add that to top off the garden beds, and that's something that the Friends of Vassalibi, if they're interested in doing.
They
something
can,
like that,
you, would they need a permit from Parks to get that
We'll have
done?
to put in a request with us and we can take it under. you know,
Okay.
But
Great.
it's usually with DSNY, they do curbside composting, and before the pandemic, they had drop-off areas.
Mhm.
One was at Coney Island Avenue and Bright Beach Avenue.
Mhm.
One was over on 29th Street at Surf. Basically, they're in front of either garden or big intersections so that they can drop off food or organics, so that they don't have to worry about throwing it into the regular garbage. So they can bring that back. I'm sure they could do it. We just have to request it from sanitation department to work with parks.
They started doing it curbside on my block for
Yeah.
the food.
So, yeah, food.
But the food, we
yeah.
can't put out in the
Yeah.
park, so this is not gonna
No.
happen.
Yeah, see,
No,
that's.
please.
You don't want rats, you want additional
Can't
rats.
do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we got enough. They're getting big enough already.
Alright, so we
They're
have
already booted crockers.
Christopher Grimes.
Containers for compost.
Yes, guys, good evening. I have a question about the website. First of all, I like the way you're zooming in into Coney Island, but the question is with those volunteering stuff on the website, is that including seniors and people with disabilities? Because
Yes,
you're-
anyone who's
Because-
interested and has the ability, within their means to help out,
because just to add this in, as I wear my other hat, because in Brooklyn, the kitchen sink, we do have in your parks areas, you have a lot of day have programs, some of the group homes, they do go out and they like to volunteer. So it would be nice to see this information being shared in, when I know in Community Board 13 does share it, I don't have to worry about Eddie, but I just think if Parks Department can pass this word to Chris Noel, he should also share this out to all the rest of the boroughs.
sure.
So,
I can
because,
talk with him
yeah.
tomorrow. I spoke with him earlier today, but.
yes, and you can tell him it was my idea and tell him I'll cause grief on him.
Well, listen, it's a good idea. You don't need to cause grief. It's a good point to emphasize.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
I know you're joking. Listen. That's why I sound so monotone.
Yeah.
But realize, looking at the map of Brooklyn, the volunteer is concentrated in downtown Brooklyn and northern Brooklyn. Coney Island or southern Brooklyn only has two groups, and those groups are Friends of Kaiser Park and Friends of Astor Levy Park. And Yep, Pamela, and Coney Island Beautification Project.
Correct.
So those are like the two major ones in southern Brooklyn. Hopefully, with this initiative that they can expand this. We were hoping that we can get someone like Grady Playground over here, which if anyone knows Grady Playground is needs TLC. And it needs more, well, it's also near a school, so hopefully that the school can help out or adopt that area. Which will work something, in the future. We can hopefully talk with Partnership for Parks and see what they can do with their Catalyst program. And see.
We'll
if
be
they can
meeting in
work-
a couple of weeks to just,
Yeah.
the idea was to
Idea.
discuss.
Sure.
I don't know how enthusiastic the school is, since they were very happy to segregate themselves with the field and the
Sure.
playground, but it's not a bad idea, it can use it.
Yeah, and also there's that daycare up the block on
Mhm.
Brighton Fourth, so maybe they can, adopt it too, because it's a shame that they can't use a local park, or not them, but the neighborhood people can't use the local park,
Mhm.
because it's in disarray. So, but that's one of the areas that they could concentrate. Someone also mentioned to us was Brighton Second Street, but the only problem about that is it's gonna be under construction for the new, what do you call it?
Pickleball.
Volleyball courts. So, yeah,
Pickleball.
yeah. So
Yay!
it's gonna be over here, so I guess we can wait until it's finished before organizing groups around there.
But and not to jump in,
Sure,
it doesn't hurt to start an organization beforehand, because it gives them,
excitement. Gives them
excitement, the
yeah.
fact that they're doing something now and
Sure.
something better is gonna come along that's
Yeah.
even making more palatable for them to work.
So if anyone knows anyone that lives near there, on, Brightwater Court, is it Brightwater Court? Brightwater Court, yes.
Yeah.
And near, Brighton Second Street, I think is, a good opportunity to jump in at the, what do you call it? At the beginning,
Include the volleyball players.
especially with the
I
volleyball.
live
there,
there.
yeah. We'll get them involved, but it's not only a volleyball, there's also a playground area and sitting area.
Mhm.
So that they can figure out how they wanna green this, and you guys, like they said, will give an update later on the conditions of those plans.
Mhm.
So, is there any other questions?
Yeah, are you reaching out to the high schools? Or
Actually, yes.
public middle schools in the area?
Yep.
To get the young kids involved?
And continuing our relationships with Lafayette and John Dewey and
Lincoln,
Lincoln as well.
Grady?
Yeah, those opportunities, reach out to them, and Lafayette and Dewey probably the more proactive of all three. Coming out there, they do a lot
Yeah,
of work
across the
at Child with
street, yeah.
Blocks, they do a lot of work with, they do studies, they do litter cleanups, they catalog, and then they do horseshoe monitoring and early
But
August.
together with that, they get community service,
right.
with that too?
Right, and then, of course, then they come out during the annual beach shoreline cleanup with the
Yes.
littoral societies and so forth, they all come out in one way or another. Like almost every weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe community service for like kids who got in trouble or something? So I'm serious, I never thought of that, but maybe can you harness that?
We did.
X amount of hours of community service.
Oh, it's part of their stay or
It's
something?
Part of their-
It's part of their graduate.
They get credit.
Yeah, so especially
Yeah.
with
I didn't know that.
with the
Yes.
new,
Yeah, no,
Yes.
kids can work in groups, you know, they get credits for volunteering, which a lot of them the seniors will require in
Yeah.
some one form or another.
Uh-huh.
But the community alternative sentencing between adults and kids.
oh, yeah,
That's something the DA's office pulled away because they just don't have a way of managing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
What about the seagrass program? Is that, going
Beach
along?
grass?
Beach grass?
Yeah, that comes along when the money comes along. We're gonna be starting sometime this latter part of the month. I'm gonna send Eddie the dates.
Okay.
We're gonna be doing it over at Coney Island Creek Park Preserve.
Cleaned out.
How come nothing on the ocean side?
Because I don't have the money for the ocean side.
Right.
And
Well,
right
you-
now,
well,
we're
yeah.
trying to- right now, what
You
we're
gave-
doing is we're stabilizing
They're not on this.
the problems that I and everyone else get the phone calls about
Yeah.
the sand migrating, you know.
Yeah.
It's a 30-year, I wish the Army Corps didn't do it project.
Right.
But unfortunately, we're putting a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
In order to, this week sanitation, and James has been working with them, to move a lot of that sand that's migrated towards Seagate Avenue, Burt and Bayview, and push it out and create a berm. And then we're gonna plant the areas and allow that to establish itself. And basically, it's just creating a barrier to slow down the movement of sand. And in a sense,
understand
it
that.
also gives a little protection for the
The
you know, the
whole,
res over there, you know, when you have a 20-foot berm. running across.
It goes over, makes an eddy, right? So it'll just drop.
We know that.
Yeah,
Give a little bit to the ocean side too.
When the funding comes, we'll take it, we know the sites and we'll take it into consideration. When it comes.
And the water side of the berm is pretty close to high
You know,
tide.
you've been
It's
showing
right,
me.
right down there.
Yeah.
Both of the berms there, they're pretty far.
You're talking on the ocean side.
Yeah, on the Coney Island Creek.
On the ocean side, the water's been coming up very, very far.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that sand problem's not going away either, so
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
they made that growing too pronounced or something, because the same thing, it's an eddy, it's just go past it.
You
it's going-
talk to,
And it's just whirling it right in.
she has the study from 1994, I think it is.
Yeah, me too.
94 is when they replenished.
There's
Yeah.
probably some hydraulic
96,
way you can figure that out pretty quick, but it's gotta be, right? It's coming, it's when the tide goes and then it just swings it right down. Making that eddy, same thing like,
Yeah, the tide comes around, whips around.
yeah, just whipping it and get that. Amazing, the accumulation over, since I've been here in 8 years.
It's on the street already, right?
Well, yeah, and that whole part of Kaiser is just turning into.
You have to bring in the
Buries
Well, we pick it up
big
off
dog,
benches
the
and
big
everything.
bulldozer from Staten Island.
Well, that is, what we do on the other side of the park is with the Department of Sanitation with their large heavy duty dozers. And they also help us out periodically on the ocean side as well. We hope to have them back, but
Yeah,
you know, it's all a matter of planning, timing and equipment availability. Cause you just don't pick up and bring it over the bridge. They have to go through this whole process.
Oh, yeah, they close
Well,
off the
you-
bridge.
You gotta get
to
your.
bring that in.
You gotta
Yeah,
create
they-
your windows of
they
opportunity.
have to close
gotta
off
be
the
done
bridge.
through Homeland
overweight,
Security
overweight,
approval.
both.
And then they have to be back in Staten Island within that window of opportunity. They break
Big
it
job.
out.
Amazing they do, you know, I
Big
mean, it's a
job.
lot, it's a hassle for them, and so it costs them a lot on their budget.
Okay,
But the machines, in New York City, that machine's probably like 10 grand a day or something. Yeah,
The rent or the,
to rent, yeah. 58 tons. The blade is 14 feet wide and 8 feet tall.
I'd like to have a picture of it standing in that.
It's pretty impressive.
okay, is there any questions in the Zoom feed? Anybody have any questions for the parks people?
About Let's Greenland.
About Let's Green, NYC.
Yeah.
Oh, they live.
Over here, they're like, oh,
All right,
Jackpot.
if not, what's next on the agenda?
they appreciate just getting out of there.
Well, we've got old business, update on the parks and playgrounds and the boardwalk. Any updates?
Well, we'll start on the boardwalk, the area primarily between West 24th and West 27th. That is in the process of completing its design. The bids will go out within the next couple of months. The idea is to start, one minute the job is registered by the city, would be looked towards the end of the summer, not something in the middle of the summer.
Would you guys present it to the board before it goes on an RFP or it's,
No, it's not RFP, it's just,
when it goes out
the
for bid?
design, he's talking.
Yeah,
well, I'll talk to Commissioner Moore about that, but I thought that was already shared and it's on our website as well. And again, there's nothing really
yeah. It's just,
unique about it, it's just, we're repairing a dilapidated area that's what it's been since, many, many years.
Christopher, what do you have to say?
Yes, I'd like to add one thing. I did mention this last year in the Parks Committee. Oh, thank God, I can see you guys now. Very funny, Eddie. Those special wheelchair beach things. You guys were supposed to be updating us about the signages because the signages were not visible to people to follow the instructions. And I did look also on the website, and I'm having a little trouble with that as well. Do we have any new updates on the signages in the area? If a person who's in a wheelchair want to transform into the beach wheelchair into the beach itself, because I have not seen that information.
Well, right now, and we touched upon it with your mom last year, signage is present, but the idea is how does that information, when someone needs one, gets communicated to us? And usually it's a phone call that's just routed to us. And one of the things I'm trying to explore this year with the agency, because we're gonna need help from our web media group, is that if an individual, no different than a film student, goes onto our website and says, click on, I want to reserve a wheelchair for this time in this date, they put in an application and that information gets forwarded to us. And then we communicate with the individuals, and then we set it up to have it in place. Because right now, there's really no space for the chairs. When we've done it in the past, we had to chain them. Like, for example, Stillwell Avenue, and chaining them is not always the best thing. Kids are climbing all over them. So what we have to do is, when we know someone's coming and they need them, we bring it out to them, So if they're gonna reserve from 11 to 2, or whatever the time being, we know who we're dealing with, and we know who we're giving it to, and we know how to get them back once the user is done, whether they use the full time limit or whatever. But again, this is something that's in development right now. I've been in conversations with our First Deputy Commissioner's office about it. They like the idea, but we have to get our web media people on board to create that policy and an outline, so anyone can just click on it and do it themselves. Or if they have questions, they can email us as well.
Just to add in, I know you're mentioning I know we just mentioned about the website, but are you still having a little hard time getting the signages enlargement a little bit still?
Well, no, the signages they're standalone signs, unlike the large signs where everything's consolidated into one.
Yes.
Wherever there's a location, it says beach wheelchair surface entrance. And they're 12 by 18 and they stand alone on the opposite side of the rail, so they're very visible to go along with the mats that you see on the sand. So it's not where people can't see them because they're hidden, whatever, That the sign is just an added visual to let folks know what they are actually for, if you don't know what they are.
For the wheelchairs, do you know how many we're supposed to be getting, Chris?
When?
For the wheelchair for the beaches,
I already have them.
how many?
I have 10.
10.
I have 8 for Coney Island and I have 2 for Manhattan Beach.
Wow, okay.
And how do they operate?
Same way they've operated since the manufacturing.
No,
They're very
it's
simple
big wheel.
devices.
There's a normal wheelchair. It's like you're gonna transport them, but you're pushing them instead of the small wheelchair, you're doing a supersized mode wheelchair.
And they have enough air in the tires that actually gives it
Huge,
buoyancy,
yeah.
Right.
unless the person's gigantic.
But the one thing I'm trying to work out, Chris, is what's very important is how they should use the wheelchairs. And I think I mentioned it to you and others that being in the wheelchair and entering the water is 2 different things. If you're by yourself, buoyancy doesn't apply in the ocean because there is none. Waves and everything else can make it difficult or even complicating. I'm trying to figure out without putting a big no policy in place, but the best recommendations when someone uses the wheelchair and if they choose to enter the water, that they should not be doing so on their own. They should be doing with some assistance to ensure that they're able-bodied enough to get in and out safely without feeling intimidated by doing so.
Agreed. Because I did mention that last time, and we and I were both on the same agreement. Someone should not be by themselves because someone should be there attending with that person because that's like safety.
Right. I already spoke to the manufacturer of the chairs and they're from Canada, so when they look at me, they go, huh? Because most of the place, I mean, they deal with all agencies throughout East and West Coast, but when you sit there and say, what's the policy or what are the safe practices when you should be using a wheelchair? They actually had to stop and think about it, and the representative is gonna call me back and say, let me look into that, because if there is a guideline, I don't wanna create my own, I'd rather share what the manufacturers recommend. So it's all a lot of talk, but it is something I'm looking to move forward with. And, you know, I don't know if I'll have it this summer, but I like to have it before the summer, or at least during this, you know, instituting during the summer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, so is a boardwalk, doable for opening day? That's a good question. I mean, all the planks are, there's no holes. or no-
We have some areas that we want to know, and Dennis is always good to keep me up to date. Alessandro calls me when there's a hiccup on a ramp going down, whatever, and I say, oh, that's your ramp now. But,
Yeah.
joking around. But no, you know, James and his team, they're out there all the time. You know, there's little minor things, like we're gonna be preparing for the blessing of the 24th, right?
Yeah, 24.
24. So we'll make sure that area is in good order. We're gonna put up some new windscreen that we recently acquired. I got it from a company who donated to us. Because that material lasts only a couple of years. It's the vinyl, it's not burlap, but it looks a lot better. It keeps the sand off his property and most of it on the boardwalk, so we'll try to get that.
Never ending battle.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a whole discussion, not on the agenda, I hope. But yeah, we'll have that area prep, and then, of course, we have to look back again and, you know, and preparing for the Memorial Day beach opening weekend, which would be, excuse me, May 23rd, which is a Thursday, 11 o'clock. That's the tentative date. Yeah, we don't know if City Hall's coming down or not, but we welcome them if they choose to.
You think Matt Allen's gonna be there?
I'm sorry?
You think Matt Allen's gonna hold up the car or be in Cornell doing a car?
Well, we welcome it. As long as he's not late, we're fine. Although he's entitled to be late, that's why he's mayor.
I'm not your lady. I play tennis.
You'll have plenty of time between 8 and 11. I know you. You'll be there.
Larry, I
I
got a
play
question.
both now, tennis and pickleball.
Larry, I got a
Because the
question.
last schedule is kind of.
Okay,
Unfortunately, it's a public schedule that we have to work with. And it's not flexible unless City Hall tells us.
is it at all possible about enforcement to get more PEP people there? Because with the proliferation of people smoking weed on the beach now, it's impossible. I went over to a crew last year and I said, I'm gonna call PEP if you don't, because there are people there, women who are pregnant, toddlers, elderly, people with a lot of asthma, like Ida, myself, and a lot of other people. And they have no regard for what's going on.
Right.
And we need some enforcement there, because now it's everywhere. And maybe perhaps you can get some extra people in there, just, you know, to give them a warning. And then after they don't get the warning, you give them a fine.
Right.
Okay, that's the only way the word is gonna get around.
You know, that's something the community and ourselves have sit there and say, yes, we wish you had more to do more. I can't guarantee that will ever happen. We'll most likely get the same allotment of PEP officers that step up to sergeants and sergeants that stepped up to captains for the season. And that's usually 4 and 2 during the beach season, which is nice because when I started, we only had one. You know, one sergeant and one captain back in the days, 20-something years ago. But, you know, the other important part is making sure that we have the roughly up to 30 CSAs, seasonal city aid enforcement officers. They don't have peace officer powers, but they're the ones who monitor and report actions. We'll try to educate the folks who.
Yeah, I mean, with
you
the,
know, when they
with the
come up-
legal dispensaries opening up, I think there's one opening up on Surf Avenue in fact. Okay, and all the illegal ones in Brighton Beach
This one is illegal.
is illegal?
Illegal.
Illegal, okay.
Right.
So they're gonna bring their pot to the beach. We know that, okay?
Doing that for years.
I mean,
But now it's like customary, right? It is unbelievable.
Parks enforcement.
Now it's like 9:30 and you're smelling it in the morning or
In the
whatever.
morning.
Yeah, it's true though, right?
I mean, it's
Like-
even coming into the co-op apartment.
My parents walking around the amusement park smoking.
Yeah.
God, no, they were little kids. I'm
Yeah.
like, there's no smoking in here, dude, please. Just
Yeah, that's.
put it out.
You know, I come home and my son smells me, like, what are you doing, Dad? Branching beyond cigarettes? And I'm like, no, it's occupational
I get the
hazard.
Munchies by 12 o'clock.
Listen, Pep does a yeoman job every year and trying to be everywhere, dealing with addressing the issues. I'm surprised Daniel hasn't jumped in yet, but we'll give him that opportunity. But the other side of it is the illegal vendors and us working with the city hall team to, try to combat that issue, when and as we can. And then, of course, what everyone else says, everything on the other side of the railing, which is on the sand, that's up for grabs too in regards to policing and enforcing. And that's a really tough task.
Yeah.
Because lots of times, one, we can't go by what somebody tells us, we have to observe it in action, which is any enforcement issue. And two, you hope that whoever you're talking to is being cooperative. Because if they're not, and then they get really belligerent and stuff, and then we try to take it from an education to an enforcement level, that's when it sometimes gets bad. And I don't mean bad meaning, it's bad meaning, we have to may have to take an arrest beyond a criminal court summons, which will wind up a desk appearance ticket, because that's how the law works. Bringing them down to the precinct, IDing them, and then they're gone.
It's all
with 2
time
hours,
consuming.
and they're back on the beach laughing about how we busted their chops 2 hours ago. But regardless, that's what PEP does. That's what PD deals with, and, we'll deal with it as accordingly as we can, we just don't have the means to have additional park enforcement officers that are just targeting for that. We are working with City Hall in regards to illegal vendors, because we know that itself too is a blight to the boardwalk as well as the stakeholders and everyone in the community.
So bad.
Right,
It is.
and now, and without getting into deep conversation, the proposal of expanding on vendoring, that could change the game rules, and we don't know, but we'll continue to do the enforcement as it applies to those who shouldn't be there.
Okay, thank you, Larry.
Oh, okay, just to give you an update, we did have a meeting with, what we call it, with DSNY, police, for the illegal vendors. This year with the PEP officers, at the meeting, they said that they're going to start up hopefully by the, what do you call, opening day weekend. And they'll be here every weekend until, it becomes full swing, which will be more day weekend. So,
Are they supporting, I wasn't on that call, but are they supporting us, or is that from a street level side?
they're supporting you guys, and they're trying to work together with the PEP officers. So they'll be on the boardwalk at the same time, so that when they do run off to the street side, they'll be there too.
Cause I know they gave us, when we've done the sweeps and stuff.
Yeah.
They were there with us along doing that.
Yeah.
But they were more of a presence.
Yeah.
Like if, no different than what PD did. So if something got out of hand,
Yeah.
there was enough officers to deal with the situation without it.
This year, whatever they did last year, what went right, they'll continue. What
Right.
didn't go right, they'll fix it. Because they started it, basically the second half of the season in August. And we said to them, look, start now, nip it in the butt, so that people know that it's a no zone for Coney Island, Brighton Beach, because if not Coney Island, they go to Brighton Beach side.
Yep.
And, we just don't want them to come here, selling illegally, merchandise or food, because food in itself is not, regulated. And you just don't wanna take a chance, and giving somebody a bad experience, for the first time. So, so that's some good news. So come, opening day and during the weekends when they're, open, they'll have spot checks and, hopefully some type of task force that will come and, monitor them. I don't know if they're going to educate them first and then hit them with a ticket.
We generally start with education
Yeah.
and then the enforcement level, which has worked good, and it actually puts the fear of
Yes,
us
that's
back into them.
Yep.
So when they see us, they're not looking at us, they're running.
They're fine, okay.
Dennis remembers the days I used to, follow them with ATV, and it was like a race. But the whole idea is it shows a level of respect, because it's not just, talking to them, we're confiscating.
Yes.
And when you're confiscating, they as business operators are renting the materials that they buy from everyone, and then they have to pay that, they'll lose their deposit and then have to reinvest themselves again.
Compensation works.
Right, and that's
Definitely.
what.
We're just making it inconvenient. How many times you saw those ladies, they say,
They have it in the
they
pocket.
just run around the back and say, well, it's still cooking, and then they come.
Back in.
Whack-a-mole.
So that's what we did years ago. We did a lot of confiscation, and, Dennis and I would be standing there, I roll up my ATV, and you watch them running off the sand, you sit there, you wanna place bets, because,
Yeah.
it's the level of respect. They understand that something's going to happen if they don't get out of there right away.
Well,
Especially.
Tonight on the news, they set up checkpoints at the Tappan Zee Bridge for the ghost licenses.
Oh, I saw that.
They took care of 73 vehicles, they impound it.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That much, yeah.
Yeah, 73.
Actually, it's 80.
Oh,
Eighty,
oh,
excuse
boy.
me. Excuse
I
me,
was
you
actually, it's in the report. It's 80 them on one Tennessee Bridge. It's
Yeah.
70 on the Valnozzano Bridge.
Okay, all right, and they arrested people too, besides
One
they,
day.
just one day.
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
That's-
it's amazing, I saw on the license plate, they have things that flip it.
Yeah.
They can flip their license.
No way.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I saw that on television.
Unbelievable.
Not to drag it out, those fines and, the fines that the vehicle owners incur, they're not negotiable. It's not like you get a summons on the boardwalk for smoking, you go down to a judge and the judge says,
Yeah.
all right, we'll knock it down to 20.
I have one.
They are non-negotiable, like PVBs.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
You pay whatever the fine and the interest and everything else that applies, and that's, a great tool.
It's a movie. I have at home. I have James Bond movie at home.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the next part on the agenda we have is.
If there's nothing else with,
Oh, no, the other two, because he went on the beach in the boardwalk.
oh, okay,
There's
well,
one
we've
to talk
also got, the playgrounds. Any updates on
Which one?
what's going on?
Someone
All of
asked me
them,
about
all of
that.
them.
Yeah.
All of them.
So,
Well, I can only talk about the ones that are funded right now.
Okay.
And you-
I wanna find out about the Brighton second one.
Is that open discussion?
Yeah.
I'll save that till after. All right, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
So,
I
Brighton
only asked
Playground,
because they asked me.
okay.
and you'll know. So Brighton Playground, right now, we're in the design phase of that portion, and again, it's the multi-purpose playing area, fitness / volleyball / pickleball / basketball area.
Right.
Last time that was done, 1998, if I remember.
Wow.
Cause I'll tell you something, when I came here.
Yeah.
The basketball courts were all taken
Ooh,
tonight,
that's the whole idea of it.
right?
can
So
share.
where are they putting the pickleball courts in comparison to the basketball courts?
The whole area needs to be reconfigured, because we're not only putting the pickleball, which doesn't take up a lot, it's one
Okay.
court.
No, I'm only asking because someone asked me. I'm the spokesman for Brighton Beach.
They're gonna get their pickleball court, as long as they behave themselves. and the volley players, They'll have their place to play.
Okay.
But yeah, but that's in the design phase right now. It should be completed by the end of the season. And then the procurement process, so even if the job gets awarded in early of 2025, work probably won't start until the early spring, because it doesn't make sense to put a shovel in the ground when you can't do much from that point on. And you hope they have a good contractor.
So in other words, it's a long time till they do that.
It's not as long as it used to be, we've
I
cut
hope
the
I'll live
process down to
till
a
then.
year and a half, when it used to be 2+ years was a lot better. And then COVID
I
came
hope I'll
in
live till then.
and slowed a lot of that stuff down. So we're a lot better than we were in the past.
So in other words, they won't use that park, pickleball till 2026.
They got plenty of others, they're all on our
I'm
website.
just asking for people.
Something
that-
to look forward
I'll
to.
tell you something, Larry.
Can't
Some
complain.
people don't have a
Look
car
forward
and
to.
some people live in that area.
But they can run about on the court.
The man that asked me about the pickleball that I'm referring to
Right,
doesn't have a car and he lives right across the street from the playground.
right,
And he asked me to find out, being that I'm coming to the meeting,
right,
because everyone comes to me in Brighton Beach, even though I'm not an elected official.
right.
They come to me for everything. So he asked me the question, he saw something on the computer or whatever, he said, oh, Fran, you got it approved, but look how long we have to wait.
Yeah, well,
What are you gonna do?
but treat it like a pie in the oven. You wanna make sure you
For
cook it
me, I
slowly
want
and
to
you
go
don't burn it.
over, but I have a car and I'm able to, but someone that can't, even Kaiser Park, if you don't have a car and you're an older person and you wanna play pickleball, it's difficult for them to go to Kaiser Park.
Right.
Because I play in the Shorefront Y and a lot of the people will not come to
I
Kaiser
thought they had a
Park.
pickleball court there.
You do.
I got
I know,
that done.
right down the block.
Through the management, they called me up if I could get someone to initiate the pickleball, and that they have 3 days a week there pickleball, thanks to Fran Schwartz.
There you go.
All right.
But the question I'm saying to
Just
you,
don't let them name it after you.
I, they praise me enough. The thing that I'm saying is some of the people that do play in, Shorefront Y will not come to Kaiser Park because they don't have a car.
Right,
So that's an alternate for them.
okay.
So I want to make sure everyone has their fill for pickleball, thanks to Fran.
There you go. And
Okay.
patience is a virtue. Let them know that as well. It's coming soon.
Okay,
So,
Okay.
how is
I
Scaringella?
was gonna talk about House Levy first, but okay.
Okay, well, no, Ashley has a
You,
lot
you
of.
tell me and I'll fill in the blank.
So,
Okay.
how far have they gone?
For House Levy?
No, either,
Well, Asa Levy, the dog runner, we're
Yeah.
talking specifically about. One of the things we looked at, because there was a point of location where some folks wanted the dog run, which is more on the northeast tip of the park, which really is not ideal because the amount of trees that are planted over there, there's not a lot of space itself. Trees themselves, you know, even though some of them mature versus others are new, you know, it doesn't lend itself really well. All you're gonna do is get a lot of quick compaction, which is not healthy for the trees. So we went back to looking at the area between West Second Street and West Third on the Seabreeze Avenue side. Because of the fact that one, in order for us to run a water service for any feature that we put there, whether it's a drinking fountain or a dog drinking bowl or whatever. The Department of Environmental Protection says, we already put a tap in when we did the playground, you have to use the same service line. And if you do it from another location, you may not get the approval. So it just made sense to move it over. There are some small trees in that area, but they're small enough, they're 2-inch caliber, we can relocate them anywhere we need to, you know, and I think it's a lot better space because the public is coming right off, you know, right off of Seabreeze Avenue. You know, from one side, you know, closest probably to the band shell, and that would be the best location at this point. You know, so that's what they're working at right now. And again, the scope is being worked on, and that is the location that's being talked about.
Mhm.
Although I know some, you know, and then we're looking for volunteers too, you know, when that happens, because dog runs don't maintain themselves, and that's something that, you know.
The dog runners have to, the dog owners have to.
Yeah, but you know, we wanna, you know,
Yeah.
we wanna identify someone who might wanna take the lead, with that, you know. We can put a job box like we do at the other places, and they can keep their own tools and hoses and things like that.
Right.
Anything that would help them
Maintain it.
maintain it works well for us. So where you going with Scaringella now? Now we're talking, hold on.
up the block, up on Stillwell.
What?
It's up on Stillwell.
No, I know where.
For the
Alright.
people who don't know.
All right, so we got the playground, we got 2 phases that are funded over there. The first phase that came into place is the design of the playground area. That dates back to 1989, actually, no, 86. That's how old it is, the old timber farms.
I was born,
There you go. See,
so I'm 38.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're a young man. So the design of that is pretty much completed. We anticipate the work to happen sometime, if not this summer, probably at the latter part of the summer. And again, most of these projects take roughly a year or so to do. It's weather dependent, when it comes to certain features, concrete, asphalt, and other things that we put into place. And then we have the comfort station.
oh, yeah.
If anybody's been around long enough, then they know Shady Park. There used to be one there many moons ago in the 70s, and it was demolished when the city, you know, when it fell into blight, the city went around and took a lot of them out. But thankfully, there's one coming back. It's well needed. Having that playground and that comfort station in place is a great service, not only just for the athletic field, but as well as the Lafayette playground across the street. It's something I think everyone's gonna really applaud when that happens. We're still in the design phase with that. That could take another year. So we'll see how that works along. We'll have a better sense maybe towards the middle of the summer.
When you do have the comfort station, will it be staffed or no? Only because, you know, do you leave it open for anyone to vandalize it,
Well,
or is it?
you know,
or-
It closes.
I mean, we leave it open, you know, the policy back in the 90s, you know, we shut everything. That doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, bathrooms will be open seasonally throughout the
Yeah.
year. Whether it starts 8 to 4 in the winter or
Yeah.
8 to 8 in the summer, you know, the bathrooms will be open. Staffing, that's all up to our seasonal staffing plan with the POP program, which HRA finally got money back from City Hall to put that in place, and we're starting to hire people within the workforce program. We got 1 last week and 2 just showed up today without announcement, but I was very happy to see them. You know, and we hope to have more of those, that them come along. West Playground, that's the construction of the comfort station. That's been a little bit stalled right now because of certain issues with the design, foundations and things like that, the impact. So where they're putting this, It's in a very tight space.
Yeah.
There were some small trees removed, but other trees will be added. It's going on the corner of Street and, Avenue Z. That can probably be done within a year from now. Will I have staffing for that? I don't know, but when we do get them, and they're plentiful, we will put staff there 4 to 5 days a week, just to cover that. And that park needs it desperately.
Yeah.
We have a lot of things besides general use, camps and everyone else coming in and out of there with or without a permission. That makes it really tough, and you and I get the phone call every time on Monday when it doesn't look so snazzy. So we hope to have that building in place and give us an opportunity to keep some of it.
I heard I heard that by the end of this month. Well, I heard about it, because I just passed that reservation about they're gonna be reopening a bar, right over there.
Yes.
You know, it's right near the train station there, the one that I just passed coming here.
Mhm.
They're renovating they're making a new bar over there.
Okay.
It is, but that's another committee dealing with liquor license. This is parks, so
Oh,
we don't have to doesn't concern any park
right,
issue.
okay.
No, I'm talking about it's called a restaurant.
Yeah, but
That
this is
doesn't do
park
with
issue,
parks.
It has to do with
park issues here.
boardwalk. It has to do with the boardwalk too.
No,
That's on the street.
And I got one final project, and then we can move ahead to anything else. It's the Coney Island Security Measures Program.
No.
We're roughly about 75% completed.
The volumes, right?
Yeah, the bollards and the swing
Okay.
gates. And that's something that, that was done through City Hall, through the NYPD counterterrorism. Where our bollards and gates are in place, we'll be talking to counterterrorism at the locations that are already been completed to see if they want to pull them out or they're gonna reapply them elsewhere. I know Luna Park is looking to put more on Stillwell Avenue, but that's between them and PD. I don't get involved with it. But the important part is making sure that the keys that we have in place, which are gonna be all key to life, are not handing out to businesses, stakeholders, and it basically, it's PD, it'd be counterterrorism, the fire department, not just the local houses, it's gonna be all 7 houses. In the event if additional houses have to respond to something that's on a large scale, they'll all have a key. Fire department, EMS, park enforcement, management, and lead supervisors, and that's it.
Sounds good.
And we're gonna be keeping an eye on it, so, I turn around and I find a gate open on West 12th, or something on West 12th, but,
Yeah.
West
You know,
13th Street.
37th Street.
37th Street,
Yeah.
I know somebody's got something going on. So,
Would you also give it to Seagate? Because they're right over there. on
no,
Seagate.
absolutely not.
Okay, just asking.
That's why I had a gate put in there in the first place, because they were dumping sand in our property without our permission.
Okay,
So,
all right,
let them figure that out. They're good at that.
all right. So is there any other issues? Anyone have any issues? Christopher Greif, hand raised?
Yes, I do. Some of those areas that you guys are mentioning, did you guys ever get a chance to check out the ramps when they go up the boardwalk? And there was another question I'd like to add in, because you mentioned a small space area. And one of the parks at Avenue Z too.
The comfort station, Avenue Z.
Oh, the bathrooms. Well, the bathrooms are going, where they are in the corner of Avenue Z and West Street. They will be, ADA accessible. And again, it's a welcome to those who haven't seen it. That playground used to have a building many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Is now.
Yeah, I used to go there when I was a kid. Yeah, but I also can vouch with you with not just the camp kids been going there, but there's a lot of the Shiva schools goes also into that playground, because when I was training for Special Olympics for track and field, they like took over the whole park, and the way they do that, I was like, what happened? They don't follow permits?
Unfortunately, I've had conversations with this, I'm not gonna name them specifically, but I know who they are. I've had conversations and it just goes one year out the other. I mean.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, so, all right, is there any other questions?
Eddie, there was a third one I was trying to finish
Alright.
with him.
Sure.
He mentioned Be nice, Eddie. I'm trying to, but it's not easy. Regarding the small space, where are you guys talking about? Because it sounds like it's one of the spaces that was an issue.
No, small space is just a terminology. It's in an area within the corner of the playground that we're dealing with, the utility service that we need to add there, because the old utility service that was there, we have to bring a new one also. We're also dealing with the impact of trees with roots, so some trees have to be relocated, in addition to what's being relocated now, and then others will be replanted. But, spacing of the building has nothing to do with it. We're not reducing the space. The building will be ADA accessible and it'll be fully compliant with everything, ramps and grading.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other questions, from committee here?
May,
Oh, go ahead, Danny.
thank you. If I might, I might bring up this old business for the committee.
Sure.
Just quickly. I know that, this has to do with vending. I know that in 2022, the board passed a resolution, disapproving of any further, vending licenses being approved for the boardwalk. Until, I think the resolution stated until such time as the vending problem was under control. I wanted to know if the committee was interested in readdressing that issue, and not tonight, but at a future meeting. I'd like to try and offer some solutions, maybe with Parks and the committee, so we can put vending out, legal vending out on the boardwalk again in Coney Island. Just as a statement. So go ahead, Debbie.
We could definitely visit that at a later meeting, getting the necessary parties, because I know Yelena has her situation with Brighton Beach where they have vendors, like you said, illegal ones, but if you have a legal one, I don't know if it would be in competition with merchants on Brighton Beach Avenue. And that was her biggest issue, is to compete with people who are on the main avenue. But we can discuss it, on our side, because so that it doesn't interfere with Brighton Beach side. So we can have a later conversation with that Parks people.
Okay, I
yeah.
remember that
Mhm.
we had, the Alliance had, gotten some permits
Yes,
for a
Like,
handful of locations.
Right.
And they
Right,
were
it was-
out of the
yeah.
amusement district. They
Yeah.
were, there was one on West Eighth, I believe,
Right, West 98.
West 19th, and then further down. So they serviced the areas that didn't have merchants.
yeah, what
Which makes a
happened?
lot of sense.
What happened was, only one, if I remember, applied for it, because this happened right before COVID.
It
Yeah,
was the
And,
Alliance.
yeah, and that one person, I don't know if he made money or not, but I don't think he did because he never came back. But it was, the Lions had the license or the agreement of who was going to be, picked for those areas.
right.
So if you want to go back into and see in the Coney Island
Yeah, I
area
know the ones in Brighton Beach from, let's say, from Coney Island Avenue
to Ocean Parkway.
to Ocean Parkway,
No, they don't want it.
bid doesn't want it
Okay,
there.
which is fine. Yeah, but like you said, with the other ones, like you said, like West 19th Street might not have anything there, or by
Well,
the
don't
apartment.
forget, that was prior to,
I know,
all the
COVID.
development that has taken place
Sure.
Yeah.
between, 15th Street
Yeah.
and, the parachute jump and beyond. So
And also.
totally different game.
And also what board was concerned is, if we put in the legal vendors, how are they gonna compete with the illegal vendors if we don't have a hold up? And that's why we voted down, because, they're gonna be competing with the people, and it's not fair for them to pay a fee and can't make money because,
I think that was
yeah,
one of the
that was the
reasons
reason
why the
why
guy
we
never
turned
came
down.
back.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that they'll spend on money for that, and then.
It's cheaper. They're spending cheaper money for $1 of water versus $2 where
At
it's
at that time,
mandatory.
the Alliance didn't get the full, interest for all the locations. There was one with the concession card, which we were in agreement
Yeah.
with because he had propane and it was open
Yeah,
flames.
yeah,
He had a
yeah.
massive.
Driving the heavy
Boardwalk and
boardwalk, push cart,
I
yeah.
kind of wish my
Yeah,
parents.
you're referring to those guys, Dan?
Aquarium, educational.
Those locations? Dan?
The locations, I'm not quite sure about those locations. I think you were correct, at least approximately in where they were being located, Dennis.
Yeah.
But this is not for the Alliance to actually get these licenses. It's more, we have a vested interest in establishing legal vending where it should be on the boardwalk. Really as a measure of not allowing illegal vending to dictate city policy in terms of vending and what the parks has to do. The parks makes money from these vending licenses. We'd like to see them continue to do that. We'd like to see order on the boardwalk. And I
Right.
believe
That's
that
what-
legal vending on the boardwalk allows for that and helps us help
Helps.
parks enforce the illegal vending. Because we have more eyes on the street, even though it's not the street, more eyes on the boardwalk, looking out for the illegal vending and alerting parks and sanitation and PD, because we're working collaboratively this year, Eddie, to address this issue.
You know, let's, I guess, wait until we see how the task force works in getting rid of the
Yeah.
illegal, and then we can work, that's step
Yeah.
one, Dennis, and then,
You gotta get
then
rid of
we,
these guys.
you know,
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna wanna rent a spot when you can come and do it for free.
Yeah.
Right.
exactly.
It's like the same thing with, I hate to say this, cannabis, because now we have a legal cannabis. Now we can fight for the illegal ones to get rid of in our neighborhoods. So, the ones that you see right now, there's one legal one in Coney Island. There is one
Mm.
legal one.
Right.
And based on that, he's gonna be competing with, the illegal ones. And now he has a right to tell the state, come in and force those people and get rid of them because it's their competition.
You see
Yeah.
what's happening with the legal
Yeah.
cannabis stores? Now there's funding to fight the illegal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they're getting revenues.
Yeah.
That's what Dan was talking about. If there's revenues coming in from legal vendors on the boardwalk, then there's a budget established from those revenues to get more pep guys, to get more this and get more that,
Yeah.
to enforce the illegal vending. I
Right.
think that's what Dan was referring to,
Right.
correct, Dan?
Right.
Yeah, I'm talking about establishing more legitimate businesses. The more legitimate businesses, look, here's the thing. When we have one of the first people that I hear from when the illegal vendors do pop up is Dennis, because they're popping up in front of his business.
All the time.
So for me, having legit businesses on the boardwalk helps the Alliance focus on where the illegal vending is, so we can address it and alert our partners in city enforcement. And it's a collaborative approach. It has to be. PEP can't do it alone. Sanitation, police can't do it alone. PD is not going to do it alone.
Yeah,
It
it
has
has
to
to
be
be a
collaborative.
team effort. Has to be
Yeah.
a team effort.
Amen, Jeff.
And we gotta look out this year
To see
for
how-
illegal pot vendors on the boardwalk too.
Yeah.
That'll be an addition.
Just like you have.
So I have selfish reasons.
They sell
for-
nutcrackers on the
for-
beach. They sell
Yeah, amen, yeah.
fires on the beach, and kids are selling too.
Yeah.
5-year-olds.
Right.
Dude. Okay, so we can,
So I would just ask Eddie if the committee chair and the board chair are amenable to it, that we pick it up in a committee meeting where we have time to kind of lay out in detail what the approach was, even bring parks concessions in to give their opinion about what
I
what
think
we could
it's
do.
late for this year's concessions because they started back in January.
Oh, yeah.
They started in January. We're too late. I know that.
You
And,
know what, Eddie, with all due respect,
Mhm.
let them tell you we're too late.
Larry, tell us.
You're too late.
Thank you. I thought that.
We're too late.
There's a
That's
deadline.
the
You
official.
have to advertise it.
Yeah.
But you
Larry,
gotta,
I'll drop it.
okay. but
Larry,
no,
I'll
I'm just
drop
giving-
it. I'll
I'm
drop
giving
it if Parks says it's too late, I'll drop it.
I thought that.
You gotta remember too, with these bids, the agency, when they create vending opportunities, may give an individuals the first shot at it. But then after a certain amount of years, they now become open competitive bids. So if somebody's giving us $1 million per year to make the business, after that window expires, you know, it now goes open to everyone in the city.
Yes.
And that, right, it has to, and then anyone can come in, which is benefit to us, but who knows if that's gonna be benefit to anyone else at this point, but. As we said, we gotta control the issue first before we can start opening up the floor for other things.
Yeah.
I think it's.
No, I just want to say parks, so it's too late this year.
So
just
that's it.
to bring it up.
I'm
What?
kidding.
Anyway, does anyone have any other issue? Or we can call it a night?
Okay, motion.
Okay. I propose a motion
I'll
to,
second it.
There it is.
okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.